We were told freedom was the destination. But what if the map they gave us was missing the most important part, the path back to ourselves? We gained the world, but risked losing our own souls in the process. What we were never told about the nature of true female power is the most critical lesson of all, and you need to stay with me until the very end to understand it. Promised freedom. There is this idea, this beautiful and powerful and necessary idea that has been the drumbeat for generations of women. It's the idea of freedom. And when we talk about the great unraveling, the sexual revolution, we talk about the breaking of chains. And let me tell you, those chains were real. They were heavy. They were the expectations and the limitations that told a woman what her life was supposed to be, who she was supposed to be for, and what her body, her own beautiful body, was for. I want us all to just sit with the truth of that for a moment, to really honor the women who stood up and said no more. The women who demanded the right to their own pleasure, their own choices, their own futures. That was a revolution of the spirit, a seismic shift in consciousness that we are all, every one of us, the beneficiaries of. We stand on the shoulders of those women who fought for our right to control our own destinies and our own bodies. That is a truth we must hold as sacred. They promised us a world where we were no longer the property of a man, no longer confined to the home, no longer destined for a life that was chosen for us. The promise was that we could be the architects of our own lives. We could pursue careers, we could delay marriage, we could choose not to have children, and we could explore our sexuality on our own terms. It was the promise of the open road. The promise that you, and you alone, get to be in the driver's seat of your life. And that is a glorious, wonderful, breathtaking promise. For so long, the feminine spirit was kept in a very small, very ornate, but very restrictive box. And the revolution came and kicked the lid right off that box and outpoured all of this energy, all of this potential, all of this power that had been suppressed for centuries. It was a necessary exhale for humanity. And for a while, it felt like that was the entire story. The story was, we were chained and now we are free. The end. It was a simple linear progression from bondage to liberation. We got the vote, we got the pill, we got the corner office. We could have sex like a man, as they said, without feeling, without attachment, without consequence to our hearts. That was sold to us as the pinnacle of freedom, the ability to separate our bodies from our hearts, to treat intimacy as a handshake, a casual exchange, something that you could do and then simply walk away from, completely untouched. And in the beginning, that might have felt like power. It felt like shedding the old skin of neediness, of emotional dependency that had been used to define women for so long. It felt like we were finally playing by the same rules as men, and in some cases winning at their own game. But a funny thing happens when you live a little. A funny thing happens when you talk to thousands and thousands of women from every walk of life, as I have been blessed to do. You start to hear the whisper of a different story underneath the triumphant one. You start to hear about the unspoken part of that promise. It's the story of the woman who has the career, the apartment, the freedom to date whomever she wants, whenever she wants. She has everything that the revolution promised her. She is the living embodiment of the new woman. And yet, late at night, when the noise of the day fades away, she feels a deep and profound loneliness, a sense of emptiness, a feeling that in all of this doing, all of this achieving, all of this freedom, she has lost a connection to the deepest part of herself. She has the freedom to choose, but she finds that the choices available feel hollow. She has the freedom to be sexually expressive, but she feels a strange sense of detachment from her own body, as if it's a tool to be used for pleasure or validation, rather than the sacred home of her spirit. She's following all the new rules of liberation, but she feels used. Or worse, she feels like she is using others, and she doesn't recognize the person she has become. This is the part of the conversation that we haven't been having loud enough. We celebrated getting the keys to the kingdom, but nobody talked about what it does to your soul when you wander through the halls of that kingdom and realize you are all alone. We were taught how to be free, but were we ever taught how to be whole? That is the real question that has been sitting in the hearts of so many of us, waiting to be asked. Cost. The unspoken cost, the fine print on the contract of sexual freedom, was not about money or status. It was a cost paid by the soul. What the revolution, in its righteous and necessary anger, didn't account for was the nature of feminine energy itself. It didn't account for the deep, intuitive, and sacred connection between a woman's body, her heart, and her spirit. In the rush to claim a new kind of power, the power to be detached, to be casual, to be invulnerable, we were subtly encouraged to disown an old kind of power, the power of our sensitivity, the power of our deep-seated need for true soul-level connection, the power that resides in our vulnerability. We were told that these things were weaknesses, relics of an oppressive past that we needed to shed in order to be truly free. So we tried. Oh, how we tried. We learned to numb ourselves. We learned to swipe right and to not get attached. We learned to perform a version of liberated sexuality that often felt more like a performance than a genuine expression of self. It became a new kind of conformity. Instead of the 1950s pressure to be the perfect demure housewife, a new pressure emerged, the pressure to be the cool girl, the girl who is always down, the girl who never asks, "What are we?" The girl who can have intimate physical encounters and feel absolutely nothing, or at least pretend to. And that pretense, that is where the deep damage is done. Because every time you act in a way that is out of alignment with your true feelings, you create a small fracture in your soul. You betray yourself. And over time, those small fractures can lead to a profound sense of inner division and unhappiness. Think about it. The language itself reveals the truth. Hookup culture. A hook. Something sharp, something that snags you, something that is inherently temporary and often a little bit painful when it's removed. It's not called connection culture. It's not called intimacy culture. The very words we use admit that this is a transactional, superficial exchange, and we were sold this as empowerment. But what is truly empowering? Is it the ability to give the most sacred parts of yourself away to someone who has not earned the right to be in your presence? Someone who does not see you, know you, or cherish you? Or is true empowerment the ability to know your own worth so deeply, so completely, that you refuse to settle for anything less than what your spirit truly deserves? That is a different kind of revolution, isn't it? The unspoken cost was the quiet epidemic of loneliness that swept through a generation of women who were, on paper, more free and connected than ever before. It was the anxiety of constantly measuring your worth by your desirability, your body count, or your ability to remain unbothered. It was the exhaustion of pretending it didn't hurt when he didn't call, pretending you were fine with just chilling when what your heart was crying out for was to be held, to be seen, to be known. This created a profound disconnect from our own intuition. That little voice inside, that gut feeling that tells you, "This ain't it, honey." We were taught to silence that voice, to label it as needy or old-fashioned or crazy. We were told to listen to the loud, chaotic world instead of the still, small voice of our own wisdom. And when you lose touch with your intuition, you lose your compass. You are adrift. And this is not, let me be very clear, this is not about shame. This is not about going back. This is not about saying that a woman's sexuality should be locked away again. Absolutely not. The lid is off the box for good, and thank God for that. This is about evolution. It is about acknowledging the truth of our experiences. The truth is that for many, the promised land of sexual freedom turned out to be a bit of a desert, and we were thirsty for something more. We were thirsty for meaning. We were thirsty for sacredness. We were thirsty for a love that didn't require us to amputate parts of our own hearts to receive it. The unspoken cost was the realization that being able to have sex with anyone did not guarantee you would ever feel truly intimate with someone. And that, for a being that is wired for connection, is a very high price to pay. Reclaiming power. So, where do we go from here? If the first revolution was external, breaking down laws, barriers, and expectations, then the next revolution, the one we are in the middle of right now, has to be internal. It is the journey back to ourselves. It is the reclaiming of our true, authentic power. And this power does not look like the power we were taught to emulate. It is not loud, it is not aggressive, it is not detached, it is quiet, it is sovereign, it is rooted in a radical act of self-love. It's the moment you finally stop and ask yourself, not what the world wants from you, not what a man wants from you, not what a movement wants from you, but what your own soul is longing for. That is the beginning of everything. Reclaiming your power starts with reclaiming the word no. For so long, our yes was not our own, and so the revolution was about screaming yes. Yes to our careers, yes to our desires, yes to our ambitions. But the deepest power, the most unshakable power, lies in the sacredness of your no. No, this does not feel right to me. No, you have not earned my trust. No, I will not betray my own feelings to make you comfortable. No, I will not participate in something that makes me feel small or used. Your no is the boundary that protects the holy ground of your spirit. It is not a rejection of others. It is a profound acceptance of yourself. It is you looking in the mirror and saying, I am worthy of being protected, and the person who is going to protect me first and foremost is me. This new power is also about redefining what it means to be a strong woman. Strength is not the absence of feeling. That is numbness. True strength is the capacity to feel everything: the joy, the pain, the vulnerability, the love, and to stay present with it, to honor it as a part of your human experience. It is the strength to be vulnerable in a world that tells you to be guarded. It is the strength to admit that you want connection, that you want a deep, soulful partnership, and to know that this desire does not make you weak. It makes you human. It makes you alive. The most powerful women I know are not the ones who are the most invulnerable. They are the ones who are the most honest. They are honest with themselves, and they are honest with the world about who they are and what they truly need. This journey is about coming home to your body, not as an object to be appraised or a tool to be used, but as the sacred vessel that carries you through this life. It is about listening to its wisdom. Your body knows when it is safe. It knows when it is cherished. It knows when it is being honored and when it is being used. The revolution that is happening now is about women learning to trust the intelligence of their bodies again, to treat their physical selves with the reverence that one would a holy temple. Because it is. What you do with your body, who you share it with, is a sacred act, and you and only you get to define the terms of that worship. It is not about rules or religion or what anyone else tells you. It is about a deep, personal, spiritual communion with yourself. It's about understanding that freedom is not the right to do anything you want. Freedom is the wisdom to choose what is in alignment with your highest good. That's the piece they left out. They gave us the choices, but they didn't teach us about the art of discernment. Discernment is your soul's intelligence. It's the ability to feel the difference between something that glitters and something that is gold. It's the ability to know that some experiences will nourish your spirit and some will deplete it. And the power to consistently choose nourishment over depletion, that is the ultimate freedom. It's a quiet, personal, and profound revolution that happens one choice, one no, and one deep breath at a time. It's not about fighting the world anymore. It's about finally coming home to yourself. So the real journey, the real liberation, is not about what the world grants you permission to do. It is about what you grant yourself permission to feel and to be. It is the profound act of coming home to the deepest, most sacred part of you and realizing that your worth was never, ever up for debate. Your body is your temple. Yes, but your soul is the entire universe. And that power, that truth, that unshakable love has been right there inside you all along. I am sitting here in tears. For years, I felt like there was something wrong with ME because I couldn't be the cool girl. I wanted more than what this liberated world told me I should want, and I felt so much shame for it. This is the conversation I have been having in my own soul for a decade. Thank you for giving it a voice. Has anyone else felt this pressure to pretend to be okay with a culture that was slowly breaking your heart?